So basically, I'm going to be making a sort of new YouTube series for my channel, at least. I don't really make any YouTube series, but I'm going to start making one that's basically going to cover a whole bunch of different topics, like based on For Honor, essentially. So for this video, I'm basically going to be talking about For Honor kind of as a whole, you know, the whole For Honor experience in general, and just different things about the game. And then later on, you know, maybe on my next video or in future videos, I'll probably go more into depth about, you know, the other mini topics within, you know, For Honor. But for now, I'm basically going to be talking about For Honor, what I think about the game, how I feel about the game's current state, and things of that nature. You know, probably going to bundle everything into one for this video and kind of just speak on it as a whole. And then later on, I'll probably cut it into smaller portions. Each video will probably cover things way more into depth. So today we're basically just going to cover For Honor as a whole. I think currently, even though a lot of people like to complain, the game is not in a horrible state per se. I feel like as far as For Honor goes, it's the most enjoyable it's ever been currently. I feel like, you know, the game is kind of at the best state it's ever been, in my opinion, personally, but there is a lot of things that still aren't ideal about the game. Like, all the current meta is like, you know, the dodge cancel meta, and I feel like I don't necessarily hate dodge cancels. Me personally, I mainly dodge cancel heroes. I feel like there definitely needs to be some sort of a balance between, you know, heroes that can counter dodge cancels, maybe add a lot more undodgeables to the game, neutral undodgeables, and, you know, things like VG kind of help, you know, like with Orochi and like Pirate. VG really basically slows them down, puts them in their place. Things of that nature sort of are helping with the dodge cancels, but there's just not enough to counter dodge cancels to make it so that they're not as powerful. So that's basically one big thing about how the game currently is that a lot of people hate, and I could see it, honestly. Even though I main a lot of dodge cancel heroes, I feel like, yeah, it's definitely making the game a lot more annoying, a lot more like pesky to deal with, you know, certain heroes like that. And not only that, but I feel like a lot of heroes are underpowered at the moment. I feel like if they sort of didn't focus on just making heroes that were already somewhat decent better, and they just focused on making all the bad heroes really good, almost like to the same level as like the current best fucking heroes, so like Afira, Shinobi, Orochi, you know, all the Zerg, all like the powerhouse heroes. I feel like they should just be making all the bad heroes better. I don't want a game that has bad heroes, essentially. I want everybody's pick to be able to be like really good in their own right. Personally, I feel like that's the answer to like solving a lot of the issues, a lot of the complaints people have. It's just that their heroes are underpowered. I feel like, me personally, I don't mind fighting overpowered heroes so much so as I mind fighting them when I have a shit hero. I feel like that's you know, the basis of a lot of people's complaints. They just, you know, they probably don't know it, or they just like to complain. I feel like, you know, I could be fighting whoever with like an okay hero, and it really is like, yeah, the character like versus character matchup matters, but it really is also about skill. Like, people, my friends complain about like certain things, right? And I don't have issues with those heroes, and they do, and I'm like, well, I feel like it's just a matchup and based on the person versus you, in a sense. Because, you know, one person will complain about this, and then I'll be like, oh, this hero seems very easy for me to fight. The only hero that I really don't like in this game currently, like I hate with an absolute passion, is Hito. And the only reason for that is you can literally just sit there and only press R2. Every other button on your controller can be broken except for the lock-on button, and you can still play that hero effectively. Like, yeah, the argument is gonna be that people, like, you could play Orochi like that, you could play Pirate like that, but at the very least, you're pressing a button to dodge and a button to press the heavy to sidestep, or the light to sidestep with the Orochi. With Hito, you are literally just pressing R2 and letting it go at different times. That's my complaint about Hitokiri, to be honest. But I feel like currently I'm not too mad at how the game is. I just really wish the devs would just take like a whole season or whatever to kind of bring all the shitty heroes into a better light, just so that the game could just be, at the very least, a bunch of powerhouses fighting each other versus versus like 5 or 6 really good heroes fighting a bunch of shit heroes. I think that would be ideal. I think that would make a lot of people happy. Now, moving on from heroes, I think the game could really use a makeover, essentially. I think if they were to work on drip, for example, if they were to work on customizations, if they gave us more of a choice in what we can customize, maybe our own color wheels, if they gave us, you know, just more freedom to do what we wanted to do to make our heroes look nice, more like, you know, to make them a lot more unique in a sense, is basically what I'm getting at. And I feel like a lot of people play For Honor for the drip, excuse me, for the customization, so I feel like that would be a giant thing. And I feel like the battle passes could use, you know, a little bit more of a, like a oomph, you know, like a it factor, like something to make the battle passes nice, to make people want to buy them. I feel like every battle pass I've seen almost has been like boring. Like nothing has like made me say I really need to buy this battle pass. Nothing's made me do that. I don't think I've ever purchased a battle pass. And on top of that, I feel like they would definitely, I wouldn't mind a relaunch of For Honor, or, you know, in the future possibly a For Honor 2. Or for them to unpatent their system, their fighting system, so another company could use it. But we'll get more into that in another video. I'll probably make one about that in specific. But one thing that really affects the player base of For Honor is the learning curve. I feel like you jump into this game not knowing how to do anything, and the tutorials teach you the bare minimum basics, and they don't even teach them well. Like, people coming into the game don't know about revenge tags. They don't know when to stop attacking so the revenge tag can come off. They don't know about the multiplier when you're ganking. They just don't know a lot of what's important to know in Dominion, because Dominion is the main game mode. It's the best game mode in my opinion. But I feel like you come in so blind to the mechanics of the game that, like, when you fight anybody, even at a noobish level, you just get stomped, and you're like, wow, I'm bad at this game, and they don't teach me shit. I don't want to continue playing it. I feel like they would have to revamp their whole, like, system on how to learn the game. Because honestly, the best way to learn the game right now is to meet a higher level friend and for them to teach you. I feel like the tutorial system is useless. That being said, I really wish they would do something like that, because that would make us see a lot more players. You know, the reason the matchmaking right now is so randomized that, yeah, like, once you win a bunch of matches, you'll verse really good players, but once you lose a match, it seems like you get sent back to, like, the very bottom of the, like, the MMR. And so basically what happens is you end up stomping a bunch of people. I feel like with a lot more players, that would even out a bit more. That would make it would be a lot better. But at the end of the day, I feel like For Honor really just needs to work on a lot of things for their new players so that they can stay. Now, everybody loves to hate on the devs, and I'm guilty of it. I have hated on the devs before. But I feel like at this point, with what they're given, with the fund that they have for Honor, because it's such a small game and it's such an old game, they've actually done a really good job with some of the things they've done. Like, this game was never supposed to have crossplay, and we have crossplay. Everybody's still complaining about cross progression, and I agree to a sense. Like, yeah, cross progression would be great, but this game was never meant to have even crossplay. So the fact that they brought that into life is huge. And at the very least, you know, we love to complain that the devs updates are shit, and I agree, a lot of them are. But they're, at the very least, they haven't given up on the game. Because you tell me where you're gonna go to find another game like this, I'll wait. Obviously, you're not going to, because it's fucking patented. But this game is so unique to the point where I'm glad they haven't given up on it, because it's one of my favorite games, and it's probably one of my favorite games of all time. Like, the last game I enjoyed this much was Black Ops 2. And realistically, it's just such a good, unique game. I feel like the devs don't get enough credit, even though they do make a lot of shit changes. They also deserve a lot of praise because they're keeping this game going at the very least. I feel like a lot of Front players are very ungrateful in that sense. And yeah, I mean, go ahead and say whatever you want. I don't really give a shit. But I feel like, at the very least, we shit on them a little too much just because they're trying, at the very least. Yeah, there's shit changes sometimes, but it is what it is. It happens. More or less, though, that's kind of my general opinion. I probably missed a lot of things, but I'm not trying to make this video, like, stupid long. So I'm going to cut it here, and I'll probably make another one sooner or later. I have a bunch of topics lined up, a bunch of things that I'll probably go into debt about. And, yeah. But for now, if anybody was watching, I appreciate y'all for watching. I mean, I'm not really expecting this series to get any views or anything. It's kind of just more me bored, having fun, trying to create some sort of content. So, if anybody was watching, I appreciate y'all stopping by. And I'll probably catch y'all on the next one.